We finally have the first Superman teaser trailer, and at first glance you might not know exactly what the plot's gonna be, but diving into a lot of little details, the teaser does reveal a good amount, so let's break it all down. The trailer opens to a shocking sight of a broken and bleeding out Superman, an image people are not normally used to seeing, especially considering most people's complaints about Superman is that he can't ever be beaten or he has no weaknesses. And based on the biome, it's pretty clear that he is fleeing some sort of fight going to the Fortress of Solitude. And while he's been beaten so bad that he can't even move, luckily his best friend Krypto comes and saves him. I can't believe we're actually getting Krypto as a prominent character in this movie, and I didn't think we actually see Krypto in live action. And while the design is actually pretty different, his design in the movie is actually based on James Gunn's actual dog Uzu. As for why Superman was beaten, I think it's more than likely that he was actually beaten in the fight against Ultraman, who we get a quick glimpse of at the end of this trailer that is sort of an evil Superman. However, the common speculation is that Ultraman is actually Bizarro, and that Lex Luthor cloned Superman, and that's why Ultraman has such a concealed costume in this movie. And there's actually a shot in this trailer where at first glance it just looks like any other shot, but you'll notice the entire shot is mirrored and reversed. Now this also just could be a mirrored shot, but it could be that this is Bizarro's costume, and that's why he has a mirrored Superman emblem. All this being connected and pieced together to make Ultraman / Bizarro some sort of evil, twisted, just clone of Superman. And whether he's his own character or like a homunculus created by Lex Luthor, we don't know. But there's definitely something fishy going on, especially considering a lot of the general public seems to be upset at Superman. We also get to see Clark on his way to the Daily Planet. I love this sequence because you see all the little body mannerisms that Clark has. You see him bumbling his way to the Daily Planet, being that dorky Clark that we all know. And even a smaller detail in the costume, where his suit is clearly too big for him. And in some iterations of the character, he does this on purpose. Purposely slouch or wear bigger clothes, that way he conceals his actual build. It's not just the glasses. And we got our first look at Lois Lane. And Lois is actually a big part of this trailer, as it's focusing on the romance between her and Clark. And we get so many beautiful shots of this, and considering Lois is both hugging and kissing both Clark and Superman, it's pretty clear that she knows the secret identity. And speaking of Superman's secret identity, we see Clark Kent on the Kent farm, and talking with Pa Kent, and he looks pretty distraught. This is most likely because later in the trailer we see society is against Superman for some reason, and most likely superheroes. Possibly another tie into the whole Ultraman theory, with Lex Luthor creating an evil Superman clone, possibly to smear his image. Superman, which was originally titled Superman Legacy, was originally pitched to talk about Superman's parentage, and how he comes from two worlds. And we see Pa Kent in this trailer, and later we get a shot of his Kryptonian father of sorts, as we get a shot of what appears to be Keelix's broken body on the ground. Keelix is sort of the Kryptonian butler of Superman, think Alfred, and he's really important to Superman because he's one of the very few reminders and remnants of Krypton, and is sort of his Kryptonian father in a sense. And I gotta talk about everyone's favorite shot of this trailer. We just see Superman saving people. But he's not alone, as we see what appears to be the Justice League. We get a better look at Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, Metamorpho, and of course Mr. Terrific. We only get quick shots of them, but they all look great. Metamorpho is actually a fully practical costume. We see Hawkgirl in action. Guy Gardner's iconic bowl cut. Mr. Terrific is supposed to be having a very large role in the movie. Now, unlike the other heroes, we see him actually engaged in sort of foreign affair, where the trailer also focuses on this war abroad. And there's this powerful shot of a kid just calling out to Superman in the middle of the chaos, showing how important and impactful he is to society. He's a symbol of hope. But as far as other fight scenes, we actually see Superman fighting this gigantic kaiju, which I think is just that, a one-off random monster. But we also see this giant floating purple orb in the sky that Superman is conveniently ignoring to talk to Lois Lane with. It could be one of two things. We know this movie's taking inspiration from All-Star Superman, so it's possible this is Solaris, very obscure and not really detailed character from DC Comics, who's essentially a sentient sun that in that story Lex Luthor uses to depower Superman. So it's possible this is all interconnected and that Lex Luthor is moving a bunch of different chess pieces to beat Superman. The other option is that it's probably Brainiac. This is going based off solely the aesthetic with the whole silver, purple, blue, glowy thingy. But as far as any other solid ties, that's about it. And speaking of Lex Luthor, we get a shot of Luthor Corp. And while this might just seem like an establishing shot, if you zoom in really closely, we actually get our first shot at the Engineer, one of the members of the Authority, sort of anti-hero team that we know is going to be in the movie, and that Ultraman is supposedly a part of. And the last couple of shots are just of Superman and Lois. Again, they're putting a large emphasis on the romance in this movie, which I think makes a lot of sense. Lois is Clark's anchor to Earth, and while he is very much human in a sort of way, she's often the thing that Superman fights for. And as such, the trailer ends with the two of them holding hands before Superman goes off and saves the day. My thoughts on this trailer were kind of mixed, which I think sounds kind of crazy when I think about it too much, because I love the ideas of everything in the trailer. I'm sure the plot's gonna be good. I like a lot of the costume design, and the music is perfect. Obviously, there were a lot of homages to John Williams' original theme. My problem is more the aesthetic and the lighting, which I know people on the internet have been butchering to death. People have been talking about it ad nauseum, so I don't know if I even need to talk about it. But it seems like a very deliberate choice, and I've seen some people say, oh, it's to make it look like the All-Star Superman comic and have that comic feel. And at the end of the day, my whole feeling is, yes, things can be done with a purpose, but if they don't actually look good or the final product isn't good itself, it's not really worth it. So yes, this aesthetic might have a reason, but if it still looks bad in the final product, then that reason I don't think is justified. But again, that's just me. And also, I don't know if it was because of the aesthetic, but this trailer didn't get me as hyped as like something for like the Batman. I think that those, pretty much all three trailers, but especially that teaser trailer did, it got people excited for that movie. And I think it was one of the best teaser trailers I've ever seen for a movie. And I kind of wanted that for this, which I think is pretty much unfair expectations. And I don't think it really delivered on that front, but it was still a good teaser trailer. The only thing that I wonder though is that with the different aesthetic and with the lack of dialogue, I don't know if it's gonna be able to pull in a lot of the general audience. Again though, it's just a teaser trailer, so I'm not really worried. And they're clearly going all in on the market. Like there are a bajillion different influencer things that released today. They've been hyping the trailer up all week. I'm sure from now until July, we're gonna hear a lot about Superman because this movie needs to hit. One, for the Superman brand, which is abysmal right now. I know people love Superman and Lois. It's a good show, but let's be honest, a lot of people didn't watch it that aren't Superman fans. A lot of people are upset that Henry Cavill still isn't coming back, and people just have a negative view of Superman. They think he's a boring goody two-shoes character, which is far from the truth. Not to mention, this movie is pretty much starting a whole new universe. Because let's be honest, Creature Commandos is good, but for the average person, that's not the start of the DCU. This movie is. So this movie needs to hit, both in the marketing and the final product. So while I don't think this was the best start, I think it's a pretty solid one, and I remain optimistic. And I was gonna talk about this in another video, and I'll probably make a dedicated video on this topic. But those of you who know this channel know that I've been a big pusher of David Cornsweet's Superman being alongside Robert Pattinson's Batman, and I've been seeing so much chatter about it after this trailer. And actually, in the weeks prior, a bunch of different scoopers have been talking about it. And with some people saying that the reason that the Batman has been delayed for so long is because they're reworking the script to make sure it fits in the DCU, which I would love, because I don't think we really need a Batman the Brave and the Bold movie, because based on that plot, all the Robins are going to already be established, because I want to see the origins for Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, and Damian Wayne all in their own time. And also, these two just have the same vibes I think really match together. Like yes, there are different aesthetics, and the Batman is very dark and gritty, and this Superman is very hopeful and bright, but they just feel like they should be in the same universe. Something like the Justice League New Frontiers. I know, I'm just rambling, but I want it to happen, I'm manifesting it happens, because I think Pattinson's Batman is the best interpretation of the character, and I'm sure that Cornsweet's gonna be the best interpretation of Superman, so I would love them both on the screen together. But I just had to slip that in. That's my view on the teaser trailer. If I missed anything, I might release a further in-depth breakdown later. I'm also seeing Sonic 3 tonight, so expect that full review later, and of course covering more Sonic, Superman, and pretty much anything else. So thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.
In a club with someone and I'm like that. Shawty got me out too high. Standing on the beach in some white ones. Can't control, I think I'm too fly.